Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, world. This is the Rastafari International Ambassador Jabani, and today I'm just gonna do my piece of the so-called independence celebration. As it is today, as you can see, I'm having my mangoes. This is to let you know that I don't really miss nothing from down so. Cause me a beat half dozen Julie right now in the celebration. As the runaway slave, we jump and take pay fence and left the plantation. I don't really have nothing to celebrate today. So I'm going to use one of my flagger, my fella blogger, to come tell you now what time it is when it comes to the island of Jamaica. So fair use of this rebroadcast. Fair use. So until such time, those of you who is in celebration mode, listen to what we have to say now, and then you can come and tell me in my comment what you are really celebrating. And Annie Pastor, I want you to know, Annie Pastor, that Vybz Kartel is free. And as such, I, Jabani, now have not more to talk about Vybz Kartel. As far as I can see, and as far as I can understand, Vybz Kartel thing bigger than I. Yeah, it's beyond me. So I am not a hater because I wasn't campaigning for him to be heard. That's not what I was speaking about. I was speaking about for him to keep by him out, put on in kuntum, and see the outcome come. So now that we have the outcome, I don't think I have nothing more to say regarding Kartel and his case. I am not going to take it that personal. So until such time, do you?
Jamaica, now being called erroneously Maroons, are a hot topic, all for the wrong reasons. This is Alex Priest, peace and love. You know, I was considering whether or not I should address this topic. It's a very unfortunate topic for me personally, as a descendant of those same first people of Jamaica. You know, it brings up a whole lot of ugly topics. Now, I will not be going into the specific issue here, as I think that the people directly involved in this matter should bring all facts, not truth, all facts to light. That's their responsibility. My responsibility as an indigenous priest and indigenous historian is to put forth major facts about our people. So this, of course, is the island of Jamaica. It doesn't look much different from how it looks now. This is a map from 1740. And I'm using this and the history surrounding this particular map to deal with something that keeps on coming up nowadays when Maroon is brought up. And this is the idea that there is one Jamaica. There is one Jamaica, of course, but not in the way that is being portrayed by naysayers who want to make a point to try to say that people who are dark-skinned people in Jamaica who are claiming their true identity are in some way crazy, or in some way don't know what they're speaking about. So let's jump into it. So briefly, because I've spoken about him before, and I can always show you guys a video if you're interested. Juan de Bolas is the first indigenous chief that the British knew. He's not the first chief of the Maroons. He's not the first anything really. But he was a chief in a long line of succession because, of course, Jamaica had government, had organization before the British came and before even the Spanish came. But the great Juan de Bolas was in charge of a set of communities, indigenous communities called palenques. Okay? And these were communities, independent polities. When you say community, it makes it sound like, you know, it's just a little place, like how we think of a community today. But these were independent polities, right, that were originally created by the first people of Jamaica. And these communities would have been thousands of years old by the time the Spanish even got there. Under the laws of Burgos, go look it up, the Spanish eventually put an end to slavery of indigenous people in their colonies in the Caribbean, especially in the Caribbean. And of course, Jamaica did not have easily accessible mines of gold and silver. So attention was being moved to Mexico and Peru and all of those places. And so Jamaica was, at the time the British arrived, not exactly under direct Spanish rule. The dark-skinned original people of Jamaica who look like myself and many of you who will be watching this video were in charge of themselves, okay? They had their own territory and everything and their own government. My friends, this is the true one Jamaica. Dark-skinned indigenous people ruling themselves. This is the one Jamaica that the British came and interrupted. The British were terrorists, the British were invaders, and the British militarily occupy our country, our land, our one Jamaica to this day. And they came and set up their separate voting franchise, which is what we continue to subscribe to today in PNP and JLP, just being straightforward. Do you remember what the people Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley look like? Do you? Well, they sure don't look like me and you, do they? And that is because they were children of the same plantation owners. They were children of the same British invaders that unfortunately our people were suckered into taking them up as their leaders and running to grab up the British franchise, because we are probably some of the only indigenous people throughout the world that are just head over heels crazy for acceptance by the invaders and the terrorists. Most of other indigenous people just want to shake off those shackles and move on and go back to normal. But not us. Not us. We're fighting to say it's one Jamaica, and that who is in place now under the British Westminster parliamentary system, that's our one Jamaica. That's a fallacy. Very briefly here, these early Spanish Maroons were descended from escaped African slaves and Taino men and women. Taino speaking of the indigenous, the original people of Jamaica. Okay? So this is common knowledge. Even the British know this. Can show many other documents where the British admit this. That the people who are being called Maroons today, who were in the mountains, who fought the British system, because it's the British that invented this word Maroon. This is not the word. The original word is Simara, which means arrow, speaking of the people of the arrow who went away from the original Spanish invasion. We, those who are now called Maroons, are not exactly genetically distinguishable from the rest of the dark-skinned Jamaican population. What made Maroons different is the idea that they would continue to hold on to the original franchise of Jamaica, the original political system of Jamaica, which is not the Westminster parliamentary system. And those people went into the mountains to defend it. Yes, you have some people that agreed to being under the British occupation. Of course, because you do still see people agreeing to it now, don't you? Voting every 5 years in that British system, all of that. You see it, right? Or am I the only one whose eyes are open to this? I'm sure I'm not. So why is this map significant? And why did I speak about the great Juan de Bolas in the beginning? Let's look deeper at this section of the map here, where we know today call St. Catherine. Let's look at St. Catherine. So there is St. Catherine down below me here. Okay? And what do you see about St. Catherine that's different? St. Catherine was 3 parishes originally. St. Catherine with a K, St. Dorothy's, and St. John de Bolas. So in English, Juan, the Spanish name Juan, is John. Okay? And Juan de Bolas, who was that? We touched on him earlier, right? So St. John de Bolas, a whole parish? What? Yes, a whole parish. You know why? Because as I said earlier, there is an indigenous franchise in Jamaica. So at the time of British occupation, which kind of continues to this day, because they're still saying that there's a king of Jamaica, there was never one Jamaica. There was indigenous Jamaica and there was British Jamaica. Okay, guys? Hello? Never one Jamaica, people. As long as the British are in Jamaica, there is no one Jamaica. None. It doesn't exist. It's not true. It's a fallacy. Because indigenous people had have entire territories for themselves that even the British recognized. The British even sanctified Juan de Bolas. You know why? Because they couldn't conquer him. They couldn't conquer our people. That's why. Okay? So for those who are saying that it's not true, I advise you to inform yourself and to recognize that all of us dark-skinned people of this island are one. And we need to claim back our franchise. Peace and love. Once again, the descendants of the original people of Jamaica, now being called erroneously Maroons, are a hot topic.